What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Eye on the U, the Miami Herald show about all things Miami Hurricanes. I'm Andre Fernandez, your host, joined as always by Jordan McPherson, back for another big jam-packed show about Hurricanes football. Transfer portal season in full swing. It's over now, but Miami got a lot of movement, both coming in and leaving. Biggest name surrounding it, quarterback Darian Mensah of Duke, and all the legal issues going on back and forth to try and see if he can become a Hurricane. Jordan, some big developments as of Tuesday. It sounds like it's very close to happening where Darian Mensah will be a Miami Hurricane.
Yeah, that definitely does. I mean, Tuesday morning, the news came out that Duke and Darian Mensah have reached an out-of-court settlement. Duke had a temporary restraining order on Darian Mensah, which did not allow him to enroll in other schools. He was allowed to enter the portal, but was being basically held hostage in terms of what he could actually do. There was originally going to be a hearing on Thursday, but they settled out of court on Tuesday to basically free Mensah from the NIL pact, the NIL deal that he had with Duke, which was a 2-year deal, $4 million a year. Year one was last year. Year two was supposed to be 2026. Now with this settlement, Duke withdrew its lawsuit against Mensah that was supposed to be addressed in a Durham, North Carolina courthouse later this week. But this paves the way completely for him to enroll at another school. It's been basically perceived and expected that Miami will be the school basically from the moment he entered the transfer portal at the 11th hour on a couple weeks ago. And now it's just a matter of when does he put pen to paper and formally become a Miami Hurricane. It's going to have to be sooner than later. Classes have already started for the spring semester. And the normal cutoff was, I believe, a few days ago, but they always make exceptions with this when it comes to transfer portal additions and whatnot. So it's just a matter of when does it formally happen, but it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
So on both sides, what's kind of what was being said here? Like, what's kind of, this whole thing, it seems like it's about to be settled and he's going to be able to come over. Obviously, like you said, a little later. But then again, Carson Beck really couldn't do much in the spring last year, and Miami eventually he figured out. I think if he gets here a little bit late, he'll have plenty of time to make up for it and get rolling and get familiar with everything, all the surroundings.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it's just a matter of now it's Miami knows it has its quarterback because as of until Mensah, it was just there was so much uncertainty. They tried to get Sorsby from Cincinnati. He went to Texas Tech. They tried to get Sam Levitt from Arizona State. He went to LSU. They tried to convince Ty Simpson not to go to the NFL draft out of Alabama. He went to the NFL draft. They were at the point where if it wasn't Mensah, they were going to have to go one of their in-house guys. What's
the Judge Judy meme? The clock was ticking.
Exactly. Again, it was just the time the clock was ticking. Duke was trying to do whatever he could to make Mensah stay at Duke and basically try to honor his NIL deal, which, again, this is just, it's the latest example of the wild, wild west that sort of is the current college football landscape. We talked about it a little bit at the end of our episode last week. It's just, money's flying everywhere. Everyone's expecting everything to happen every which way, and there are no real legal parameters. Again, the NCAA and the college, the athletic directors and chancellors and top people of all the power conferences, they're doing whatever they can to make sure that the student athletes are not contractually employees. And yet when all these lawsuits and all these things happen where they're trying to get them to honor NIL deals and honor this and honor that, it's sort of things that would happen if players were actually under contract as employees. So it's sort of a, what are we doing here? The tampering, this, at the other. I mean, we had the whole situation with Dabo Swinney the other day, basically flat out calling out Ole Miss and everything there with the linebacker they got who transferred him from Cal. And then Dabo Swinney basically goes off, basically going, yeah, Ole Miss is reaching out to him during class, this, that, the other, basically trying to get him to re-enter the portal, go to Ole Miss. And the bombshell from that one was Dabo Swinney basically saying that some of the people on the Ole Miss side were basically texting Clemson going, or texting a guy going, yeah, so we'll keep all this under the rug, but we need the extra $1 million. Or the agent was saying that to Clemson. It was just like, what are we doing here? And again, the rule number one is don't leave the receipts. Don't leave the receipts where you can just have this stuff out in the open And it's just, again, college football has always been like this when everything was under the table, but it's just everything is out in the open and up in the air, and basically everything is free. It's a free for all. It's just, we need structure.
Ground rules. Yeah, ground rules need to be set.
Where the baseline is for everything. And again, this thing with Darian Mensah is just lace. I mean, we had the thing with Xavier Lucas last year where Wisconsin tried to hold him to basically say, no, you have to honor the NIL deal. And what did he do? He unenrolled from Wisconsin, enrolled in Miami, didn't even go through the portal, used the loophole to be able to enroll at UM. It's just, there are rules in place, but are there really rules in place is really what we're getting at right now.
And they're really not. Like in some cases, they're really not. And this is going to keep happening. This is going to keep happening. It's just funny that Miami seems to be the bullseye in 2 of those cases, but it's going to keep happening. And like you said, Dabo, the biggest fan of the transfer portal, sarcasm. But, it's ground rules need to be set, real regulation in the sense of being able to set what to expect. What are some of the guidelines here for this movement from one team to the next, and not just it's glaring in football because it's obviously one of the money sport for all these colleges, but it's happening all over the place. Like in all sports, basketball has been a free for all for years now, even before football was. So you just hope that somehow there's some structure to keep at least avoiding all these headaches. So if players transfer, it's done clean and done properly, and at its purest, you want the players to be compensated. That's what this was all about.
Yes.
Now, like with everything, there's people following it that way, and then there's people abusing it, and it's again, we could go on and on about that, but we're going to narrow the focus here to Mensah himself, and let's just assume that now it's a formality. It's just a matter of time before he lands in the green and orange. Jordan, like you said, they were running out of time, but I think more than anything, they got the type of quarterback that they wanted even more.
Yes.
In the sense of, I'm not saying that Carson Beck isn't what they wanted last year. Worked out good, obviously. They got to they were national runner-up, very close to a champion. But they kind of wanted a quarterback who was maybe a little closer in terms of that dual threat ability to what they had before in Cam Ward. I'm not saying he's Cam Ward. Not many people are, obviously.
No, not at the college level.
But he, I think, brings that element back to your offense where you could do a little more with him in the sense of both passing and running the ball that they missed a little bit this year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you look at his numbers. I mean, his passing numbers specifically, he threw for just shy of 4,000 yards.
Right.
Again, he was 66.8% completion, 3,978 yards. He had 34 touchdowns, which were second only behind Fernando Mendoza. He did a lot for that Duke team, and you saw why they wanted to get him out of Tulane. He knows his strengths. He knows what works well for him. And even though Miami's going to be revamping his offensive line, it's losing a lot of talent there, they're still going to have a very potent, very strong offensive line in front of him. And him being able to move around the pocket, him being able to have time to throw, him being able to have time to make decisions is only going to benefit him. And he's going to need that. He's going to need that moving forward. When you look at his numbers, I mean, his stats overall aren't great when it comes to running. I mean, when you include sacks, he only has about 100 yards total over 2 seasons. But again, you include sacks in there, so you got to remove those when it comes to knowing just how good of a true runner he is. But he has pro prospects. Mel Kiper actually ranked him as the 5th best draft eligible quarterback before he announced that he was going to be turning pro. Would have projected him to be probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Let's face it, he's a quarterback, so probably 2nd round. You lean the higher when it comes to quarterbacks in the draft. But he was great at Tulane. He was really good at Duke. Despite Duke being a 5-loss team, he still led them to an ACC championship. And Miami's expecting more of the same from him moving forward when he comes to Miami. And he has a solid run game behind him in a Mark Fletcher, a Charmar Brown, a Jordan Lyle, Gerard Pringle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When you have a Malachi Tony who can throw bubble screens too and all of that, when you have a few of the other transfers who they already have coming in, and maybe one more who he's very close to along the way.
I was going to say his top target may be coming over too. It's not official or anything, but maybe.
Yeah. His top guy, Cooper Barcade, who had, I believe, 70 or so catch for over 1,000 yards. He's in the portal as well, and it's looking very like they're going to be a 1-2 deal here, which you compare him.
Did he take a dive into the Frosted Flakes by chance at the Sun Bowl or no?
He very well might have. I honestly did not watch that live. I'm planning on looking back at that just to see. But again, if you're able to have 2,000-yard guys and Malachi Tony in the slot and Cooper Barcade on the outside, the other two guys who have already transferred in Cam Vaughn and I'm always blanking on South Carolina named Jacob.
Bendravius Jacobs,
Yes. The two of them, plus Josh Moore, who I'm still very high on. He didn't get much playing time his freshman year, but just with his size and his hands, and he has speed for his size as another weapon at outside receiver. That's a lot of weapons that you can work with. Plus, hoping that Elijah Lofton is finally able to break out after an up and down sophomore year that was very injury filled, which slowed him down early and kept him out of the title game. He's going to have weapons. He's going to have the opportunity to make his mark, just like Carson Beck did last year, just like Cam Ward did 2 years ago. This is going to have the potential to be another breakout season for a quarterback before he heads to the NFL draft.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the portal overall, a lot of guys left, some guys which we expected. I mean, obviously Emory Williams with Miami bringing in yet another transfer quarterback. At some point, he had to do something. He's gone to East Carolina. Wish him the best. Let him have, we know what a bad injury he had a couple of years ago, so it's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can get some significant playing time there. Gerard Pringle left and then came right back. Did the Grandpa Simpson meme, came right back in, right back out the door, walked into the transfer portal, walked right back out of it. And that I like that one because he showed in spots his impact and what he could do in the backfield. So that was good for Miami to hang on to him. A lot of receivers went out the door. Little sad JoJo Trader was one of them, right, Jordan? I mean, I think he had moments. He flashed here and there, but he also struggled a little bit. What a shame, because we both saw him in high school, and we were both optimistic that, despite kind of being a little bit overshadowed by Jeremiah Smith, he could be an impactful player.
Yeah, I mean, JoJo, that's an unfortunate one, but you know what? He's going to NC State. He's reconnecting with CJ Bailey from his Chaminade days.
There you go.
So, you know what? Basically every guy who has left, wish them nothing but the best. I mean, him going there, Ray Joseph is going with Emory Williams to East Carolina. You have a lot of guys who are going and trying to get opportunities. But one guy that really surprised me in terms of leaving was Raul Popo Aguirre. Linebacker, was part of that rotation with Mo Torre, Wesley Basaint, and Chase Smith. And it looked like he would have been poised to be a starter going into the season. He was one of the last guys to transfer out. He too is going to NC State. So he and JoJo are both staying in the ACC, but moving over to another team there. But for the most part, Miami didn't really lose a lot. Popo Aguirre is probably the biggest name in terms of their departures, in terms of guys who have actually made an impact and actually had a defined role on this team. They lost a decent amount of depth. I mean, they lost a few of their defensive linemen. You lost Malik. They lost Malik Bryan. They lost Artavius Jones. Jadaeus Richard, a guy who had a lot of promise, was really involved in 2024 until he got hurt in that Duke game, and then really couldn't really do anything this year. They lost some of their depth offensive linemen, Derek Plaz, Nino Francavala, and Tommy Kinsler. Tommy Kinsler is one who I thought had a chance to be part of the rotation going into 2026. He's going to Ole Miss. But they overall, a lot of their departures were depth guys. So they more or less kept every major player who was going to be involved and was expected to be involved in 2026. That's the plus side here. Plus, they brought in a lot more talent to be able to round out what they have on their roster. From the guys who are returning, the freshman signing class, which has a lot of guys who should be able to step in immediately, and then to bring these portal guys, which has been Mario Cristobal's MO. When you have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots, find those guys in the portal to fill in the as-needed depth, and then let your high school recruiting continue to flush itself out.
Yeah, some of these additions, though, look pretty interesting and potentially impactful. I know you mentioned the receivers with Jacobs and Vaughn coming in. Jamal Merriweather, 6'7", 305. That's a good. He's a good addition for sure on the offensive line. I mean, he has some potential down the road. Omar Thornton, we were familiar with him too from American Heritage. Showing up to bolster that secondary. But some big guys on the defensive line too. Jarquez Carter, who initially Miami wanted, but Ohio State got him first. Well, guess what? Now he's here. And then edge rusher Damon Wilson II, Jordan, I believe from Missouri, also in there to beef up the front. And then special teams. We're gonna take on each of these, but special teams an interesting one too. 2 kickers, not just one. 2 kickers transferring to Miami. Jake Weinberg and Jack Olson. Jake Weinberg from Tallahassee, from FSU, and Northwestern transferred Jack Olson. So you're gonna have a kicking game battle in camp this year.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, it's the second year they've done that. They did that with Carter Davis and Bert Auburn last year.
Right.
So again, that strategy worked out for them last year. Might as well try it again. But the defensive line guys you mentioned, that's a spot that I really want to hone in on because, again, Miami's losing Ruben Bain. They're losing Akeem Mesidor. That's 2 first-round picks.
Huge.
They're losing David Blay.
And a special elite talent in Bain, especially. I know maybe I'm a teeny bit biased because of Central, but watch him on Sundays.
Yeah,
so that's not easy. Again, he's not a person like that's not easy to replace. So
definitely not. But in terms of what they'll have on that defensive line, Damon Wilson is absolutely phenomenal. He was Missouri's top edge rusher, was second team All SEC. Had, I believe, it was 50-some overall quarterback pressures. Bain had 80-something. So obviously, again, you see the gap there. But you bring Damon Wilson in. You have Armando Blunt and Marquise Lightfoot, both of whom were great in that rotation, sort of that second wave when Bain and Mesidor needed the rest. Armando Blunt can play both can play both on the edge and inside. And then there's the other guy who they brought in, Keona Davis from Nebraska, their latest transfer who committed on Saturday. He's very similar to Armando Blunt in the fact that he can play everywhere on the defensive line. So you have Keona Davis, you have Damon Wilson, you have Armando Blunt, you have Marquise Lightfoot, you have Ahmad Moten and Justin Scott both returning for your interior. Plus you have Jarquez Carter. You have pieces there to once again just retool and reload on that defensive line. Are any of these guys individually going to do what Ruben Bain or Akeem Mesidor did? Probably not. But can all of these guys collectively fill in those gaps? Absolutely. And that's exactly what Miami needed from this group. So you have them on the defensive line. You touch on the offensive line with Jamal Merriweather coming in. He's a guy who didn't really play much at Georgia, but if you give Alex Mirabal a big man like that, I will gladly just say very
he's looking up
likely
going like that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, Alex Mirabal does that with me too, so that's really
I
not
know.
saying
That's
that much,
why I
but
was thinking
still,
yeah, I know.
But again, it's just if you give him a big guy like that, no matter how raw or how limited the reps are, you're eventually going to see gold. I mean, we saw what he did with Markel Bell over 2 years.
Guess what? His focus is Jamal's focus is definitely going to be looking down and yes, coach.
Yes,
very quickly.
So again, you have Jamal Merriweather. I believe he's probably going to be in one of the guard spots. You look at who everyone else they have: Samson Okunlola and Matthew McCoy. I feel like the two of them are going to be the left side of the offensive line. Who's at guard? Who's at tackle is to be determined. My gut says they kick Okunlola out to left tackle. I mean, tackle was his natural position. Keep McCoy a guard. The center position is going to be very interesting between SJ. I can never pronounce his last name correctly from their last recruiting class. Let me try to get SJ Alafataluli. I hope I got your name right. If not, I'm very sorry, SJ. We will get it right during spring practice when we get to talk.
It's the off season for us too. We'll get those reps in.
Yes, but between SJ and if he's able to get his extra year, Ryan Rodriguez out of Columbus, who has been basically biding his time as one of Miami's universal backups. I believe it'll be between the two of them for center, and then Jackson Cantwell will fill out that 5th spot, the top prospect from last season, from the most recent signing class. They've all been on campus since the beginning of January. They were with them for the playoff run from the Cotton Bowl on. So they've already had about a month's worth of reps, which is fantastic to be able to have. And that's another hidden benefit from that playoff run was basically being able to have 29 of their 30 players from their signing class on campus, being able to practice and do scout team work and things of that nature while helping Miami make a championship run. was absolutely incredible, and it's going to be beneficial for them in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that to have those reps, always huge. I mean, for sure. And Jordan, want to talk a little bit about another player that's coming back, and someone who, when we sat back and we thought about it, yes, this was Fernando Mendoza's year, both in winning the Heisman, winning the national title, and all of that. But if Malachi Tony does even close to what he did this season, he should go to New York and get an invite and be in strong consideration for the Heisman, because what a first season at Miami. You got a chance to write a little bit about him, reflect on what he accomplished this year, stuff that freshmen don't normally do. He sets the catch record at Miami for a single season. Granted, I know they play more games now, but still, look at all the great receivers Miami's had for such a long time. I'll let's start making shirts, Malachi for Heisman,
Yeah.
Because I think in 2026, this kid is gonna
Heisman. I know that's rough, but that's
it's
a
the
good
off
start.
season.
It's a good start. It's a good start.
What's the word?
Yeah.
We can run that through. Do reps on it
again. Again, any suggestions? Feel free to reach out. We're open to any suggestion. I'm sure the University of Miami will be open to those suggestions as well. But exactly. Yes, Malachi Tony.
We had Heisman Mendoza this year, right? So
yes, we did. But I mean, when you look at just what Malachi Tony did, I mean, yes, he played anywhere from 3 to 4 more games than basically every other UM player ever in a single season. That said, he had 109 catches. The school record before that was 85. He had 24 more catches in 4 more games. That's an average of 6 catches per game. He averaged 7 catches per game, Andre. So he was already on pace to set all those marks. But 109 catches, UM record. 1,211 receiving yards. That at minimum, I believe that was, let me double check that, but I believe at minimum it was the freshman record. He blew the freshman record out of the water. But I'm actually pulling up all the numbers now. Receiving yards for a season. UM single season record was 1,172 set by Charleston Rambo in 2021. So he set the overall UM record for catches and receiving yards and set the freshman record for touchdown catches. Oh, yeah, and he threw 2 touchdowns and ran for a touchdown and came close to returning 2 to 3 different punts for touchdowns as well. I mean, as I've been saying basically since the beginning, kid's good.
But it's the Swiss Army knife quality too. The fact that you can do so much, and now going back to the quarterback, if you have imagine how much more you can open the playbook this season with those two there. If once you get them on the same page and get them in sync and all of that, I mean, it makes you dream what would have been like to have Cam Ward and Malachi Tony in the same season.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just,
if only that would have lined up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
would have been magical. But again, his relationship with Carson Beck worked out pretty well. I'm not knocking
Carson Beck. I'm just dreaming of that in my head and thinking now with Mensah, you may have like a little bit closer to more possibilities, more plays you can run. I mean, I'm sitting there if I'm Shannon Dawson and I'm going, wow, I've got to play. This is nice. This is nice.
Yeah. So. No doubt about it. Again, that's going to be fun to watch. And again, I just still can't fathom the fact again. Enrolled a year early. Was supposed to be a senior in high school helping American Heritage.
Should have been at Heritage.
State title run. He should have been helping American Heritage with another state title run his senior year. Instead, he's the catalyst to help the Miami Hurricanes get to a national championship game. And again, he has 2 more years. Minimum 2 more years, but let's face it, 2 more years. Let's just barring something absolutely unforeseen or an injury, which we never wish on anyone.
No. Barring anything crazy.
He has 2 more active seasons.
Yeah.
Before he is doing what he was doing on Fridays last year, did on Saturdays this year, and will be doing on Sundays.
Right. Well, we look forward to it for sure. We look forward to next season and what Malachi is going to be able to accomplish. Meanwhile, a lot of the guys we mentioned before that have departed, Ruben Bain was one of them. Jordan, tell us a little bit about the top prospects as we look ahead. Something we're going to cover here and there in the next few months, the NFL draft and who will be in it representing UM. Obviously, Big Play Bane is going to be a high draft pick for sure, very high.
Yeah, again, Bane's going to be potentially a top 5 pick. Francis Malinoa, also from that recruiting class with Bane, potentially a top 5 pick. Akeem Mesidor has worked his way to being potentially a mid to late first round pick, which honestly, good for him. Of all the guys from this draft cycle, again, Bane and Malinoa, we knew from the jump that as long as if they just stayed their path, they were going to be top of the draft. But Akeem Mesidor, the work he's put in, the injuries he's overcome, the effort that he had to put in to get to where he is, to know that he could potentially be a first round pick. That's just phenomenal to see the strides that he has made. Obviously, Carson Beck is going to be involved somewhere. Where? Probably late day 2 at best, potentially early day 3. But the one thing that's probably going for Beck is the quarterback class isn't what it was originally shaking out to be. Everyone was thinking, okay, we could have an Arch Manning, we could have a Dante Moore, we could have all these other guys who may have been higher
Dante
picks,
Moore,
but,
especially, yeah.
But a lot of guys either stayed back or their draft stocks got hit because it was an underwhelming season. So, yeah, go ahead.
People, nobody wants to be a Jet. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, that's it. The best part is, I think the tweet I saw that made me laugh the most was when Dante Moore went back to Oregon. He was like, okay, Dante Moore, just remember, if you didn't like us when we were 3-13, you can't like us next year when we are also 3-13. It's like, yes,
right.
yes, yes. Which completely fair. Completely fair.
Curious where Fernando ends up. I mean, the Raiders need a quarterback too. I mean, he'd be pretty cool to see in that silver and black. Kind of funny. Him very polished. He got this very, historically the Raiders are supposed to be outlaws and the whole image and all that.
Yeah.
That would be funny. Him, Fernando, here he is, and okay, you have this really nice guy for the badass silver and black.
Yeah. Yes. That would be great. And again, number 1 overall pick potential, and this also brings up something slightly aside to this that we talked about with Michelle Kaufman, just Fernando Mendoza potentially going number 1. And then there's a certain Columbus basketball player having a very good freshman year at a certain ACC school that may also go number 1. Just the rarity of what might happen at the high school level down here from both of those guys. It's just,
rhymes with Oozer. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But again, it's just, that's for a later time. That's just the quick adjacent on that. Back to UM draft guys. We have a few guys who are participating in either the Senior Bowl or the East-West Shrine Bowl. David Blay and Wesley Basaint have been at the Shrine Bowl. The Shrine Bowl played this game on Tuesday night. And then the Senior Bowl, everything's kicking up this week. UM originally had about a handful of guys in there, but only James Brockemeyer and Markel Bell are actually going through all of the drills now. Bang and Mesidor were supposed to be there. Keontae Scott was supposed to be there. Keontae Scott, another guy, I'm very curious to see where he ends up going. Just what he did, the nickel corner position for Miami this year, literally doing everything for Miami and showing how versatile he can be. He's going to be one to watch where I'm intrigued by what his draft stock is. Jacoby Thomas, I'm interested in his as well. But again, the big 3 are Bane, Malinoa, and Mesidor. Everybody else, they have a lot of guys who could potentially be day 2, day 3 picks. It's just a matter of seeing where the chips fall as we get through the combine, get through pro day, and get through all the other formalities over the next few months.
Yeah, the Herald is at the Senior Bowl this week, so follow our coverage of that there. Isaiah Smalls is there doing that for us, so check it out. And then, of course, Jordan will have everything on the UM guys down the road too as we get it closer and closer to the draft. But wanted to finish the episode this week since we're talking about 2026. How better to do that than to talk about who Miami has to face in 2026? The schedule is out. We knew the opponents, but now we know the dates. We don't know we don't know the times pretty much yet, but interesting opener to say the least.
Yes.
Not just the fact that it's on a Friday, not just the fact that it's on the road, but all the way out there at Stanford Stadium, Palo Alto. They decided to put the Stanford game as the very first one on a Friday night on the road. I mean, in theory, not a game that the opponent should be that daunting for Miami in theory, but the trip itself, right out of the chute like that, a little different.
Yeah, well, I'll give it the glass half empty, glass half full approach for everything with the start. So the glass half full, you get the long road trip out of the way week 1. Fair. And literally the one West Coast trip that you have is done. Well, right out of the chute.
Yeah. It's funny after they didn't leave Florida until November 1st last year, and now you can't pretty much go any further in the ACC.
And now it's not only that, but 3 of their first 5 games are ACC road games.
Right.
At Stanford, home FAMU, at Wake Forest, home Central Michigan, at Clemson, bye week. So really, your first tried and true home game, and again, no offense to Florida A&M, no offense to Central Michigan, the first game that fans are really going to care about and is probably going to have a stake in Miami season at home isn't until October 17th. 7 weeks into the season, week 7 is your first real home game at Hard Rock Stadium against Florida State. And then beyond that, Miami's first Saturday game isn't until week 4. Stanford's on a Friday. The home game is Florida A&M's on a Thursday. The Wake Forest game is on a Friday. So, and then Central Michigan on Saturday.
What are we in the MAC?
It's I mean, I can understand Florida A&M, whatever. That's the middle.
I should have said that. I should have said that in Stewie voice.
Yeah.
What are we in the MAC?
MAC. It's completely idiotic.
Yeah. So,
but again,
Friday, Thursday, Friday, and then finally Saturday with the Chippewas come to town, September 26th.
Yes, but it's going to be again. But then after the bye week, 5 of their final 7 are at home. You have home against Florida State, home against Pittsburgh, back to back.
The last 3.
Yeah, and then it's home FSU, home Pittsburgh, then at UNC, at Notre Dame, and then the final 3 home games are Duke, Virginia Tech, Boston College. The Virginia Tech game is also a Friday game. 4 of Miami's 12 games are either on Thursdays or Fridays. So great work by the schedulers for the team that just finished as the national runners-up.
Way to go, TV time. That's all that is.
Yes. It's from the TV standpoint. They're trying to get the marquee matchup on Friday so they can help their TV things on Fridays. Fine, sure, whatever. Miami shouldn't be the team that's carrying the brunt of that, especially when we've seen the numbers that Miami had throughout the season, throughout the playoff run. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly. Miami's more marketable now than they've been in over 20 years with the fact that they're in the spotlight again. They're national runner-up right now. Just looking at the schedule, just from a football standpoint, like you said, it's a different kind of challenge than last season. Even though they were home a lot early on, it was still, they played Notre Dame. They had a Gators team that entered the season ranked really high in the top 15, if I remember correctly, I think, or at least the top 20.
Yeah. They were top 20 for the most part until the LSU debacle before Florida. Yeah.
And then a USF team that was surprising everybody and was ranked. So it's not like it's worse than last year in the sense, but in the sense of travel, it is with those 3 road games. Now, then if Miami survives that, they get an FSU team that's going to be interesting to see where they're at by October 17th, because they could be either they're back on their feet and doing well with Mike Norvell, or Mike Norvell could be this year's Billy Napier and FSU could be 500 or worse at that point when they come to Miami. Either way, rivalry game and all of that. Pitt is always not to be taken too lightly. And then November 7th.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, November 7th at Notre Dame, South Bend. Again, that's probably going to be the season right there, that game. But I'm also very intrigued, just that's starting the 3-week run of Notre Dame, Mensah versus Mensah. I don't want to overlook the next one. Yeah. No, again, Notre Dame, Mensah versus Manny, and then the James Franklin-led Virginia Tech team, the second to last week. Virginia Tech is the team that I'm very curious about in terms of the ACC, and they could be an extreme wild card in the conference this year, during a season where there's going to be so much uncertainty just with the scheduling. Remember, this is the transition year towards the 9-game conference schedule. There's all 5 teams are playing 8 games. The rest of the league is playing 9 games in ACC play. And then starting in 2027, It'll be all but one team playing 9 games, and then the rotating whoever is the odd man out getting 8 games. Still waiting for the ACC to let us know what the tiebreakers are going to be, because I'm just waiting for the scenario of 3 or 4 teams with 1 loss, and there being 2 of them played 9 games, 2 of them played 8 games. What do they do? Yeah. Just how do they sort through the mess? I'm gonna be. Yeah. I'm just waiting for the tiebreaker to get. You're gonna rewriting those formulas.
You're gonna will that. Yeah, you're gonna will that into existence, aren't you? And I praise you for it.
I don't want it to happen. I just want to be mentally prepared so I know what I'm getting myself into. Right. Because after the SMU game last year, and just having to do the weekly updates, and then going through opponents' conference win percentage and how many times you went to Timbuktu over the last 18 months, and how many times your quarterback called an audible inside the last 2 minutes of the third quarter on Wednesdays, and trying to find out what 18th tiebreaker I need to know just in case it gets down to it. And then going, and then just going, hopefully it just comes down to the coin flip. And just being like, that actually being the most common sense part of what we're organizing.
Well, let's compare Miami and Duke's record when the sun's out and the wind speed is higher than 15 and stupid stuff like that. Well, yeah, I wish I could say that the 9th game is going to solve that, but I only think it's going to help so much.
No.
Again, this goes back to, in all seriousness, this goes back to where this is the season Miami has to take that next step in terms of leave no doubt, dominate this conference. Leave no doubt. They're going in. I mean, you got to think they're going to be the favorite. Clemson's going to be talked about a lot and considered another potential contender. And I agree with you that VTech is an intriguing, could be the team that makes the biggest jump next season if James Franklin can come in and really right away get things going. FSU is a mystery. Who knows if they, they look like they had reloaded and were ready to come back this past season, and then everything fell apart. Norvell's on the hot seat. Doesn't seem like it doesn't have that same vibe so far going into next season. I mean, it's early. We're not even in February yet, but who knows? So Pitt's always decent. Georgia Tech's always decent, but you got to think this is going to be interesting to see the effect this has.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, as it stands, obviously rosters are still being finalized. Teams are still figuring out who they are. We haven't even touched spring ball yet because it's still about a month and a half away, but on paper, going into the season, this should be Miami's conference to lose. Again, last year it was Clemson and FSU were the front runners. Yes, we knew where things were on that front, or Clemson at least was the front runner. FSU ends up surprising early, but going into the season, this should be Miami's conference for the taking. Just like it was heading into the 2024 season after they got Cam Ward. They should be far enough ahead that going into the season, the projection should be leaning towards UM as the ACC frontrunner, not just maybe they'll sneak in as a playoff contender and then try to make their case. They should be where they need to be by the end of the season. And that's where, again, the leave no doubt portion in conference play could prove pivotal depending on that Notre Dame outcome. If they lose that Notre Dame game, it's basically going to be relying on winning the conference, because the updates that have happened with the CFP selection committee and how they're handling everything is it's staying as a 12-team format, which thankfully it is. But some of the audibles are happening in there. Now it's every power conference champion is guaranteed a playoff spot. It's the all Power 4 conferences and the highest group of 5, not just the 5 highest conference anymore because of what happened last year. And if Notre Dame is ranked inside the top 12, regardless of teams in front of them for at-large spots, they get an auto bid, which means, and that basically means half the field is going to be decided if Notre Dame is in the top 12. Even if that top 12 would have normally meant first team out, like it did this year, because that little head-to-head thing mattered. But if everything happened with this year, with the upcoming year's format, Notre Dame would have replaced Miami and Duke would have replaced James Madison in the field if the way that's going to happen for 2026 was in place for 2025. So, like you said, leave no doubt. Don't leave anything to chance. Don't let a 12 or 13 person selection committee decide your fate. Do whatever you have to do to make sure that your place is set in stone. Obviously, we have 11 months until all that becomes paramount, or 10 months before all that becomes paramount, but that's the mindset they're going to have going into spring ball once all that starts up in March, and that's the approach you're going to need when the season begins on September 4th out on the West Coast at Stanford.
Not to insult any teams on the schedule, but look at Notre Dame's schedule.
No,
Wisconsin, Rice, Michigan State, Purdue, North Carolina, Stanford. Unless somebody does something that nobody is expecting, that's 6-0. But then they go to Provo and face BYU. If BYU is still on the level it kind of was this year or better, that's their first tough game, October 17th.
The Pop-Tart Bowl that wasn't. The Pop-Tart Bowl that wasn't.
Correct. Then they get Navy, who they've beaten all but like once in their history, it feels like. And then comes Miami. So theoretically, at worst, this is a Notre Dame team that's going to roll into that game 7-1. And if they beat the Hurricanes, good luck after that, them falling out of the picture, especially with that clause that they've added. Because then after that, BC, Syracuse, and SMU at home.
Yeah.
But again, it would take something drastic to
take something catastrophic, yes.
Right. So unless Notre Dame trips up, which I don't see happening in those first 6 weeks, this game is going to be a doozy. It's going to be like old school Miami and Notre Dame high stakes game in front of touchdown Jesus, and let's bring it on.
Let's go.
I'm excited for it. Bring it back, just like the old days. High stakes game between those two.
Yeah, it's a shame we have 9 months. We have to wait until that, Andre. 9 months.
Yeah, well, we'll be all right. We can build up for up until then. So
yeah.
Anyway, so for all of you watching and listening to Eye on the U, we always appreciate you. Thank you for catching us either on YouTube or finding us at MiamiHerald.com. Jordan will continue to bring you all sorts of updates and information, along with Barry Jackson, who's also been pivotal with this whole Mensah situation, documenting it little by little as it goes. And we'll keep bringing you the latest throughout the off season when it comes to the transfer portal and whatnot. And we'll talk a little basketball as we get closer. We didn't have time much to talk about that today, but we'll revisit that in the next couple of episodes as the Miami Hurricanes basketball teams both vie for spots in the NCAA tournament coming up in March Madness. Well, that'll be here way before, obviously, talking about Notre Dame and whatnot. But we look forward to it. And until next time, for Jordan McPherson, I'm Andre Fernandez. Thank you for watching Eye on the U.